Okay, I'd like to call to order the May 21st, 2026 LCD Board of Directors meeting. We'll start with the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can you give us a roll call, Jared?
Absolutely. Paul Seymour. Here. Andy Lyons. Here. Tom Schneider.
Yes.
Mike Knoll.
Here.
Dave Staub.
Here.
Jim Kittle.
Here.
So Randy Turner is not present.
Randy Tyler.
Randy Tyler is not present. And Randy Turner is also not present. And then Greg McAdams.
Present.
Jared Eubank. And then Heather Schapp.
Okay, thanks, Jared. Okay, take a look at the minutes from the 4/16/2026 regular meeting. If anyone has any questions, bring them up. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of 4/16.
I'll make that
I
motion.
had a motion by Dave Stobb. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mike Knoll. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Then we put together just, we had an executive session on 4/23/2026. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion.
Motion by Andy Lyons. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Staub. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. How about, the approval of the agenda? I looked it over, or of course, but I don't have anything to add. Does anyone, Paul, you got something to add?
Yeah, I've got a real old bill that I would like to just
Talk about it.
present to you guys and tell you what it's for and when it was all happening.
Where you want to put it, Satch, under,
Let's do it under a real unfinished business.
okay, unfinished business, we're gonna add old invoice. And Paul will tell us about it. Anybody got anything else? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the under unfinished business?
Motion.
Motion by Dave Stobb, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Andy Lyons, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so that approves the agenda. How about the approval of the monthly claims and vouchers? And I want to thank Heather for, it
Yeah, I
is,
like that.
It
Lots better.
it
Yep.
is a lot better. And I had a couple little questions, but I think I'm good with everything that I saw. Anyone got any questions, you can shoot them a call or Heather. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims and vouchers.
Motion.
Motion on the floor by Greg. Do I have a second? Second by Mike Knoll. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the claims and vouchers are approved. Okay, Paul, new business, and Sherry just walked in, and you want to lead us on that, Paul?
Yeah, got two little things here. We had a freezer go out and Sherry went on ahead and bought a new freezer. This is probably 3 weeks ago or so. And, what she's here for tonight is to, at the time it went out, I don't know whose freezer it is, I think it's ours. And I told her, I said, look, if you need it this quick, go buy it, come into the meeting, we'll go before the board. And I'd like to try to get her reimbursed for the freezer, and then if she ever decides not to do the concession stand, the freezer will stay.
Someday
It's
that will
our
happen.
piece of equipment.
Someday that will happen, I promise.
Yeah. So that's why she's here, and the other thing in that packet was the lease agreement that we've got here for her. And I think you had one sent,
Mother sent it to me.
and then if you'd sign that, then.
Yep.
And then I need you guys to make a decision on the freezer, just to,
And I thought Paul and Heather did, and Jared did a nice job on the lease. We really didn't have a lease. Here's the lease agreement. It goes over how much Sherry pays for the lease for the concession stand, and then we laid out exactly, and you'll see at the back, there's pictures of whose is whose.
Right.
So if Sherry does leave some or decides not to do it, she can take her stuff with us and leave what's ours.
I thought we did that several years back.
we did, Mike.
Okay.
We had it, but we never,
We used it for what you got here.
Okay.
And the only thing is when we pulled that out, it had a question mark on the freezer actually, on
Yeah.
the old one.
on the old one.
So that's kind of why I said, hey, go on ahead and buy it, because she really needed it that night.
You use it every day.
Yeah.
And I will also make the commitment, as I did with the, when the pretzel machine went out, like I found somebody who was willing to donate some time, and I bought the part. It was like $25 for the part, and one of my guys fixed the pretzel machine, because a brand new pretzel machine is like $1,500. So I'm not asking, I really am trying to be as frugal as I can, because I wouldn't ask you to pay for something that I don't wanna have to pay for, so. And I appreciate what you guys do. The concession stand is very valuable. A lot of people eat from there, so we now beat McDonald's pricing. So, but just to try to keep it, reasonable for the community. So, I'll continue to do that. And then current state, if we go through crock pots and microwaves, those are fairly inexpensive. So I just do that as just a normal natural progression, and I'll continue to do that. I just think I don't want to get into a nickel and dime, but a deep freeze is something that I would think that would be in there for whoever would be leasing it. So microwaves and crock pots make my life easier, so.
Okay, anybody got any discussion? I think,
I didn't see it.
How much was it?
Is that a new sheet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on
Oh,
there.
it's on there?
we just
got it.
got it tonight. The lease is in there,
Yeah.
and the pictures.
I got you. Yeah.
So I think,
The only question I have, don't we have an account where we bring money in from the softball and all that stuff?
we closed that out.
We got rid of that cap.
We got rid of the cap fields, and I can't remember we weren't maybe conducting the meetings on a regular basis, I think, if I remember right.
There were a couple things, we were supposed to have meetings as a group, and then what was the thing that you didn't file something?
Yeah, 1090.
The 1090?
Yeah, one of the.
So that's when we decided, hey, we did away with
Right. We take in 2,000 a year.
Sherry pays $2,000 to lease it.
Can we not use that money?
Well, we put it in our general account.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we didn't
And
put,
I am perfectly fine if you, like, to keep from the exchange of money, that at the end of the year, when I bring the check, I just lessen what I paid out already for the freezer. However you wanna do it, I just completely fine.
yeah, I'd rather just pay her
No,
back, and then
I'm fine
she
with
gets
that.
us a check for
Out of
$2,000.
the general fund.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think first thing, do we want to reimburse Sherry back $747.93?
I'll make that
Okay, I
motion.
got a motion by Dave, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mike Knoll, all in favor?
All right.
Okay, and then I want to make sure it's okay to enter into that lease that I put in your packet. I don't know if I even have that necessary on for a vote, but I want to sign the lease, and Sherry's going to sign it, and we'll, every year, Heather's already marked down, it's a 1-year lease, and we'll bring it up every year to get re-signed, and if there's any equipment, we'll update it. And so is that, I don't think we need a motion.
So you need a motion to approve the agreement, and I'll ask for a second one to give Jim authority to sign.
Okay, so do I have a motion to lease the concession stand to Sherry for $2,000 a year?
I'll make-
A motion by Dave, second by Andy Lyons, all in favor?
all right.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Go ahead, Jared.
And then second motion, call for a motion to give Jim Kittle authority to sign on behalf of the LCD.
I'll make it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed.
Okay,
So
thank,
can we get Sherry, to get her?
I signed to get to her. Okay, Sax, let's move on to, unfinished business. Why don't you take care of the, old invoice? Or you can do either one, it doesn't matter. Take care of, you have it there, right? Go ahead.
Do all this real quick. Late August, September 2024. And what it was we was having problems in a couple of pump stations. The transducers that set all the pumps off and do all the talking to the pumps. The pipe that they dropped down in was all rusted, coming loose from the walls, everything was a mess. So we hired Jeff Minders to come in and he put a PVC pipe down there for the transducers to fall in, and we put new transducers in. We had BL Anderson in on that project. We had CH&M. And when Jeff done his main line out here, he noticed that he had never sent us this bill to do that work. So he asked, he said, Paul, would you mind? He said, and I had Heather check, and she's done the research, and we can find where we paid BL Anderson, and I know that we did the job in the time period. And this is a bill that we never did get it, so we never did pay it. And he's asking it to be paid. Now, I'm just bringing it to you guys to have either conversation on it, to request it, that we can pay him at next month's meeting or however it works out here. So any conversation or any questions from anybody on this?
When was it from?
Say it again.
When was it
When was it
from?
from?
2024, late August into early September.
So it was for, if I'm reading this right, Schedule 80 pipe, 20 foot, is that correct?
Well, you've got, on a couple of occasions there, you've got different transducers, so,
He just reading off of it, guys.
yeah.
Well, and I'm just,
I think if you know.
I'm trying, well, I wanted to,
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what work did he do? Did he just reattach 20 feet of?
No, you had to go in, you had the demo, you had, confined space entry. You had, in that particular case, in those pump stations, you can't just go down in there, you have to bring pumps and pump the water out, because you have an amount of water in the bottom, and they had to go down and pump it to where they could do their work. We also had to core the floors, and the floors are 18 inches thick, I believe is what those floors are. And they, like you see there, you got 3.5 days worth of work, and you got pumps and the drills and the small equipment, and that's it. And, you know, this was one of them jobs where something's fixed and you gotta fix it, but it wasn't just a quick in and out job. By the time you got to set up and do all your concealed space and you're down 40 foot in a pit.
Were you involved in that project at all?
I don't think so.
I was just curious if you were
It
not.
wasn't something that it was required to have an engineer doing.
No.
It was just a maintenance.
However, BL Anderson did have to do all the brain work and the hooking up, kind of like what we're gonna get into on this SCADA project. So there were two companies involved in doing this,
They put stainless back in
put PVC in,
PVC.
yeah.
It's just, I don't know, 3.5 days. I'm disappointed it took 2 years to get a bill.
Well, Well, me, I can't say I am.
Can we legally
What's that?
pay it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Money over.
I'd say if you know 100% that the work was completed
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything that you oversaw the project, and
Yeah.
you're good with everything that he's putting on here, and we know that it has never been paid, and we owe him the money, I think we should pay him.
We owe him the money, we owe him the money.
Uh,
Or that we owe him the money, we owe him the money.
All
I
right.
think right now, Paul, he's just leading us up to, he's gonna add it to the invoices. We're not gonna pay him tonight, because it's not on our voucher, so he's just gonna give everyone a heads up that he's
Yeah.
gonna add it, he's already told him, he's not getting paid tonight.
No, I just didn't wanna put it in the thing without you guys knowing, because I could've added it to the invoice and you might not ever know what happened. But I wanted to tell you to the reason, why I was bringing it before you.
I know the city's ran into this a few times with contractors, and they eventually pay it, but is there something we could do anytime we get projects like this, and say if the bill's not put in by a year's time after completion?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I probably should have caught that, hey, we have not paid this guy yet on this project. Because we don't never have that much going on. So that, you lay part of it on that. Because you're right, when you do a project, you should, when you're done with the project, and we've dealt with this before on people not turning in bills every month. So, but you're right, Greg.
He's
When
calling
we
you
do a
out.
project, there can be some kind of a checklist or something to make sure, because it is aggravating.
Well, I remember years ago, I know Mike will, and Jim, but we, years ago, we had attorney fees that were coming in way late.
Oh, yeah.
And we put a policy in, I believe, that they had to be in within 30, 60 days or something. like that.
And we put an effort in, and we make it, and nowadays we put an effort in too to make sure, and it's just, hey, it slid through the cracks on his end and my end for not calling him, and here it is, but we did do the research. We haven't paid him for this, so this won't be a double payment. I know he did the work, and I know Jeff's done work for us before in the past, and he's a good guy to have around to do work for you. So
Was there other work at the time that he did?
he's done work, if you remember, we did it, and Mike wasn't part of this. Jeff did the sluice gate out there at Station 3.
No, I
No,
mean,
he meant Satch at this time.
this time this was being done, was he doing any other work for us?
No, this would have been it at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just answer your question? So one, no statutory issue about bills coming in here, then, whenever. One thing, if we do want to put one of those issues in there, we do it in the contract. Basically say, if you
Right.
want to work for us,
Correct.
this is our agreement that you have 60 days. Then it's a material breach,
Correct.
right, if they don't.
And I think we
We
need
could-
to start doing that to protect.
And then-
Make it a reasonable amount of time.
But you'd have to put it in his original contract,
Original contract. Yes.
or else, that whole may water.
Well, just puts them on notice. I mean, it makes them look at their stuff too. Okay.
So is that okay if he adds it and we'll vote on it, next month?
Yeah, that's what we got planned.
Thanks.
Now, how about, Michael, how about you going from the,
Hey, Satch, just make sure, we just want to make sure everyone knew we did get the money. I'm talking about under unfinished business memorandum, we wired the money, Satch. You see it?
oh, okay,
I
all
just-
right.
I just wanted to make sure everyone knows, plus it's on our vouchers too, you saw it on there, we had to pay the wire fee too. There's nothing free, it's, okay. But I just wanted you guys to know we got that to them and we know they got it, so we wired it. So thanks Heather for doing that wiring, we don't do a lot of wiring. Okay, now go ahead, Satch, we're ready, grant project.
Grant project, JMT update. Berm, you or Jennifer, probably Jennifer, you wanna start it off?
Yeah, I'll start, and then Jennifer, if you want to pull the slides up and the matrix that we have. So we've got some good forward momentum going here with the state. DHS, sorry, Jen, I'll steal your thunder a little bit. They accepted us to move forward, so we are. And so Jen will give you the details on that. And then I can wrap us up at the end, Jennifer, with just some other loose ends, just update the board on, so.
Great. Yep, totally stole my thunder there, but go through a couple of other quick things. So it is excellent news. And I'll just get in here real quick. Obviously, we all understand the grant funding. I just wanted to pause for a moment on this slide. You've seen it many times before in the presentation materials, but I just wanted to mention that as Berm mentioned, we have been approved and selected by IDHS to move forward as a sub-applicant for the BRIC grant. This is competitive and it is saying that we have the information ready. And this really comes down to the fact that with the directors here and the direction we've received, we were being proactive, really being proactive of advancing those different steps with the BCA, with all of the work that's been completed to date. Because if you wait until the notice of funding opportunity comes out for the grant program, then you're generally behind the ball of being able to be successful. And so I just wanted to mention that because it really highlights the ability to have been selected. With the BRIC grant, we've already talked about that the NOFA was issued, that we're the sub-applicant. I do just want to mention very briefly on this slide that, and I'll touch on this with the multi-hazard mitigation plan, that while that's been adopted, to be very competitive for the BRIC grant, some of the language needed to be changed. And we can talk through that of what that means with adopting this. We did mention this at the last meeting as well. And just wanted to mention on the other two items, so with the BCA and going through with the fine-tooth comb, we're actually at a 2.07 on that benefit cost analysis, which is even better than what we had previously reported. And again, that's the ability to go through in details and having had that opportunity to hit this sooner than later. And finally, as Berm mentioned, we have obtained the state support to move forward for the grant application. So what I want to share with everyone is we are now moving into that grant application. In fact, we have been moving into that since we've been informed that yes, we can in fact move forward. And this is the responsibility matrix I put together for all grant activities. You do have a copy of it in front of you, so you don't have to see this on the screen, but I will just run through very high level. And you can see if you scroll through, and I'll just scroll down, there are a lot of activities in here that need to be completed, and all of them need to really be completed by June 9th, and June 9th being when we are looking to have the entire grant application together for final review. One of the most important dates to note is with this grant, it is due to be loaded while the BRIC grant is not due until July 23rd. Because we are a sub-applicant, Indiana Department of Homeland Security wants us to load everything into the portal, the FEMA Go portal, by June 19th, which means we will be loading everything by June 18th, and that's why all those dates back out from there. There are a number of items you can see that have already been completed, and then others that are ongoing, such as, we need to register on the FEMA Go portal. We need to develop and identify, and you'll see the things that are in yellow. I'm in communications with IDHS and making sure that we are doing this in the way that they want to see it for this round of BRIC regarding the go, no-go milestones. Everything with registering needs to go back to Indiana Department of Homeland Security. And there are other things, and you'll see in here, Heather, we had a meeting the other day. Heather is actively aiding and pulling some of the information that is already known and already completed so that we are as efficient as possible. So when it comes to the sub-applicant bio and resume, that is something brand new for this brick cycle. It's never been requested before from the sub-applicants, and so that's something that we have the majority of that, and I have a question out to our point of contact at IDHS. And you'll see everything is in here by date, by that final deliverable date. So there is a work schedule that we are pulling together. The period of performance, once the grant is received, is 36 months. And so that schedule, which has to account for our design items as well as our environmental permits and processes, which is the review period as well, all of that will be together. And that's a critical component that FEMA looks at through this process. We have already completed the benefit cost analysis, but we're going through everything now with that fine-tooth comb. And really, I won't get into every single detail on these, but from a high level, just wanted you to see what's in front of you. There is still a good amount of effort that goes into preparing a highly qualified grant application, and these are just broken down into all the individual pieces and the narratives that are required as part of this within part 1 of the grant. So there's a lot of narratives. Part 2 gets into that work schedule, as I mentioned. Part 3 is the budget narrative. So that is, again, many of these have been, almost everything has been started, several things 50% complete or more, because some of them were needed for that sub-applicant application. Part 4 gets into the environmental and historic preservation checklist. Then we have a community engagement narrative as part 5. Part 6 is our operations and maintenance plan, and this is another one that I'm speaking with IDHS regarding because we are seeking those engineering and permitting dollars. Then you get into part 7 as the project alternatives analysis. That was part of our sub-applicant application, and just going through and making that more robust to fill out the character quantity that's permissible for the brick grant. And then finally, the sub-application. We have the management cost of sub-application. There's a few things in here that you'll see with the hazard mitigation plan, as I mentioned already, with wanting to make sure that we are as competitive as possible. There are 2 sheets, or a 1 line item and 1 page that's been a revision to the hazard mitigation plan. That has already been completed, and we're working through the resolutions to accept the revision to the hazard mitigation plan. And you'll see in here that we are double checking all of the deadlines to ensure that we are able to meet those deadlines, and I'm coordinating with IDHS for that. The final pieces in here really get into the reviewing everything in its entirety, the forms that need to be completed, and the final submission. I want to call your attention to the name in here with reviewing the application in its entirety. I have been a grant writer for many, many years. At JMT recently, within the last 6 months or so, we have hired an individual named Tom Wilson. He came from FEMA, and his job there was reviewing brick grant applications on behalf of FEMA. So he is, as a part of JMT, will also be reviewing this application. So that's an additional resource that we have and we are bringing to the table as well. And then I just want to touch on as well the overarching, what it looks like when we submit that grant. So we will submit June 19th as a sub-applicant for the state of Indiana. IDHS goes through their full review. Everything gets moved forward to FEMA under the national competition, and that date closes July 23rd. Now, the real thing to recognize is while there are very strict deadlines for submitting grants, there's not a strict deadline on when you hear back from them. They don't put those same deadlines on themselves as they do on us. But we're looking at 6 to 9 months before we would hear anything. So while we're going to submit and everything closes in July, we will not hear for another 6 to 9 months. Once we hear, and assuming that we will be approved for it, there will be a period, it's like any contract, you find out you're going to do it, and then you go through a period of negotiations, so that happens. Once everything is signed is when the grant award period actually starts counting down on those 36 months. So this is not something we're going to submit and have the application close in July and we'll know a month later. There will be a period of time that we are simply waiting to hear, do we receive the funds for the engineering and permitting, which is what we're submitting for under this grant schedule. So that's everything I wanted to share. I know there's a lot of information in front of you, a lot that I covered. I just wanted to see if there were any questions or any clarifications needed at this time.
I just have a couple. I've looked it over. I don't see anything, but is there anything, any official action you need from this board before those deadlines? Because I think our next meeting is after your deadline. So I don't see anything, but I wanted to make sure.
Well, there is.
Hazard mitigation.
There is just one thing.
Okay, so.
If you guys would, can you explain the hazard mitigation stuff that we have to do, Jennifer and Berm?
Absolutely. So the hazard mitigation plan was completed and everybody approved it that needed to. At this time, to be the most competitive, there needs to be exact language within the hazard mitigation plan and within citing this project. That hazard mitigation plan did not have the exact language calling this the Lawrenceburg Conservancy District Flood Protection Project and calling out the 12 risk mitigation elements and highlighting the 3 that we've talked about in the sub-applicant's application. So we've already coordinated over the last several weeks with the authors of the hazard mitigation plan. They have revised the hazard mitigation plan. They have added a line in the table acknowledging Project 55, spelling it out specifically while it talked about it holistically of basically doing everything feasible to prevent flooding from the Ohio River. There was nothing with the exact verbiage that we are using. And so they added Project 55 as a line in a table on page 138. And then that calls out Lawrenceburg Conservancy District Flood Protection Project. And then they added a final page at the end of the appendices, Appendix G, which gives the same exact description as has been used in the sub-applicant's application. Those 2 items, so adding the project into the table and adding an appendix that explains the project, are the only revisions. Since this has already gone to FEMA and has been approved, or we're looking at, I believe it's already been approved by FEMA as well. I'm kind of looking at you, Berm, on that. But since it has already gone to FEMA with the revision, it does not need to go back to FEMA and it does not need to be approved by every entity within Dearborn County. It only needs to be approved by the affected entities. So Dearborn County, which is their plan, LCD, Greendale, and Lawrenceburg.
And we have to get that done. The whole critical part of it is, and we met the other day on everything we're talking about. Well, here's the resolution. We need to sign a new resolution tonight, adopting the revision of the hazardous mitigation. And then we're gonna have to go to the city of Greendale, the city of Lawrenceburg, and the county.
Better get to them quick.
Oh, we gotta get rolling. Paul's already.
Yeah.
Does the
Got
county,
everything ready and I'm gonna hand visit them and look them in the eye and get it done starting Tuesday morning.
does the county even have a meeting between them?
No, but I'm gonna go to Andy. And I'm gonna ask him, I'm gonna say, hey, I need some help, I need to get it done. How can we do this? Now, the good thing is, and Jared helped me with this, but the good thing is we only have to go to the commissioners, right?
That's true, we only have to go to the commissioners for approval, so we're not gonna get council involved.
So I think
We're
we
gonna
can
try-
get it done. We're gonna
we're gonna
work
try.
our best to get it done.
But he's gotta get to learn, because we pulled out the resolutions that we have now, and we made copies of what they signed, and we made copies of the new, and made copies of these pages.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know why everyone wouldn't want,
Well, they'll sign it.
they're gonna sign
It's
it.
all about
Changing
timing and
anything
meeting.
for them.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think I'll have any trouble. You guys are tonight, the city of Greendale and city of Lawrenceburg. I think I can make that happen for sure. The county, I'm gonna beg Andy and say, hey, what can we do? We really need to make it happen.
But they don't have a meeting. Please,
Council doesn't.
Neither's commission.
Commissioners have one on the second,
Huh?
they have one June second.
Commissioners do.
no. Not the council or commission.
Commissioner,
Commissioners, council doesn't have any meetings till August.
Well, we need
commissioner.
a commissioner.
She said June 2nd, they have a meeting.
I didn't, we looked, I didn't,
Looked at the schedule.
great, maybe we missed.
They have two meetings in
County
July.
commissioner, what's the date here? Hey. June 2nd at 8:30 a.m.
There you
Great catch, Heather.
go.
I got no problem going to that meeting, but I'm gonna talk to
I talked to
It's
him,
gotta be put on the agenda, they gotta know it's coming.
Yeah.
And that resolution's required for you to sign.
yeah, because really, guys,
Tuesday.
we want to leave, because when Paul goes to see the other counties,
Mhm.
you'll see in front of you, here's the new resolution we're gonna sign, and you'll see at the top, Jared helped us, or Vern or someone dated September 2025, revised May of 2026. So I'm gonna need a motion to sign, right, Jared?
Yeah, the motion be this, motion to adopt resolution 2026-10, a resolution adopting the updated hazardous mitigation.
So we need to put that, Heather, write it in the top of it, resolution, right,
We got
Jared?
that on there, we
Oh,
got it.
we got it?
We changed it up here.
Oh, okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to sign the resolution, second by Mike. No, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great.
I got one last question, Jennifer. You said, after everything's turned in, we won't hear from them for a while, but are we allowed to ask how many people applied at that time?
We're allowed to ask anything. They typically do not share that information. They more or less cut off communications for those who are reviewing it, and you won't hear until they release the final matrix.
Okay.
And that final matrix identifies everybody who's applied, and then, and that really doesn't even get released until after they've been going through the award negotiations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to thank.
My understanding,
Go ahead, Vern.
sorry, Jim. My understanding too is there's a state competition and a national competition, and the state competition has less funds available, than the national does, but the state competition would have less competition, I'd imagine, obviously, because the state would only put forth so many projects, but we don't know what the state's looking at either. So, yeah, we can ask, but I'm not sure we'll find out on that one, Gary.
Thank you.
The only other thing I'd like to add to this is Jason Sullivan over at the courthouse with emergency management. He's been a really big help in this. He pushed the Polish group a whole lot. So, I want him to, he get recognized a little bit here because he's been very supportive of this.
And I just want to thank Jennifer. We met the other day on this matrix, and the first thing I said is, boy, there's a lot of 0% complete. And within, I was pretty high-strung that day. Within only a couple days, Jennifer's really got a lot done just in a couple days. So she's done a great job, and Vern was there when we had the meeting, but there's a lot of work to be done. The major thing is we've got to get these new resolutions signed. I think that will be critical, but I feel a lot better with that meeting. Okay, anything else for J&T as far as, and Vern can finish this up, I guess. Anything for Jennifer?
I think Greg made a good point. Just anything that we need to do, we need to let us know so we can make sure we take care of it immediately.
Berm, you want to finish this up or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. The only other thing that you have in your progress report there that I mentioned is, Maxwell, Kendall reached out from Maxwell and was looking for some information, for the Greendale studies that we've done to date. And so we've kind of released most of that information over time, whether it was to the city or the city's attorney or others. So, he was looking for some survey data that was done. I mean, you all hired us and we hired, Rizzo to do the flyover. So I assume there's no issue with us turning that over, but I did want to mention that, let you guys know that that's something that I'll be working on to get into a share site for, Kendall to look at.
So, Berm, I just want to say one thing. You get another request like that, just make sure you get Jim involved or me involved, just because we do have open door laws here.
We were,
And
yeah.
We were. You weren't, but
okay,
I should have probably,
probably should, yeah.
I should have called
Keep
you.
me in the loop on those because you can get in big trouble.
And shouldn't they fill out our form for request?
They should. There's a form. It's more procedure over form though. Like it's obviously public information, but
Oh, like
we do
public
it.
record?
Yeah, it's record.
Hey, they
It's
can,
public record, right?
They can-
I mean,
But they
They
should,
can
they
ask
should,
request it. Right,
we'll make them, I mean,
Well, like I said, we just want to keep the
Yeah.
we need to know what's going out. And
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but,
yeah,
like
that,
I said, we have a procedure on it, and like I said, it is public records, they get to see it, so, but anyway.
that probably slipped by me, Jared. I should have told you I met, on that with Maxwell's.
And I'd have told you to give it to them.
Well, I know, but I never thought about the public record.
I haven't given them, just so you guys know, I haven't given them anything yet. So, like we haven't done anything. So you guys let me know what you want me to do before I proceed. We also have a file disclaimer that I'll probably get them to sign off on, that if there's anything that they use, the file that Rizzo developed on the aerial, that's at their risk. And that's, if there's anything in there that isn't right, it protects Rizzo and J&T from anything there. So
Is there any?
Gassion, can we,
I mean, we can go ahead and say tonight, right?
What's that?
To release the
To release that
information,
information.
or should we get them to sign the public?
We can do it right now and just say we're gonna release information. Now, the one thing, Berm, I do want to say, some of the stuff, some of this, we don't want the general public, facilities planning and all that other stuff.
Safety,
Safety issues, we don't want our plans on the internet.
homeland.
Does that make sense? So there's some stuff that, and I'm trusting you guys are looking through that's not gonna become something that's gonna get posted on Facebook, right? Our infrastructure plans and whatnot, but, yeah, in any event, that would be my only worry about the release on engineering plans.
so as of right now, we can tell Berm, because we told Berm, hey, this is not a priority, take
Yeah.
care of the grant
Right.
before you even think about wasting any time on sending that stuff. So can we tell him tonight that whatever time he gets, he can send this stuff to him?
Yeah, Mike, do you have an issue with anything that would be coming from your office?
No. I mean, we did the work, like Berm said, we were a sub to him and they're doing the work for you, so
Okay.
it's your your property at this point.
I just want to make sure we're consistent, because anybody that comes in here that requests something that's not the safety issue or homeland security issues, they'll get the information. But I don't want somebody coming in here 3 months from now saying, I want this, well, you got felt this, well, such and such didn't fill it out and they got it. So let's just be consistent. We'll give them probably whatever they want.
Well, they've got a list they sent, right? or Vern, didn't they send me a list of what they were requesting? We'll make them fill out a public records
It's-
request, Jared. I think it's fine.
It's in an email, yeah.
Okay.
I'll forward it to you, Jared, if you wanna make a list and put it in the form, that's fine.
Would you do that, Jared?
We can do that for you.
Yeah, that's fine, then that way they're following what everybody else.
And that's right, that's the way it's handled every time, so let's just stick with it. That's my fault.
No, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay,
Works for me.
okay. Anybody got anything else?
That's it.
All right,
Thank you, Vern.
thanks, Vern.
Yep, thank you all.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, moving on to the Lawrenceburg. Now I'm gonna ask Michael to take over, give us an update on his, and then
Okay. You mind if I? So this week, Paul and I met with a representative from DeBral Kemple for the welding. You authorized at the last meeting, actually the meeting that I was gone, to work with the low bidder. We had further discussion at last month's meeting, and the direction was to stick with the bids as they were presented, and the low bidder was DeBral Kemple. They're here out of their local office. We met with Travis Myers. We went through all the information, make sure that he understood the scope of what we're doing, and then we also did a field trip to all the gates where the work's going to be done. So we essentially have authorized him to move forward. He's says he's going to get that work done probably about mid-June, I think is what he said, first or second week of June. He's anticipating maybe 4 days worth of work based on the scope of what we went through. He's going to do the welds based on the Acuren report. He's going to fix what they pointed out and then leave it primered. He'll primer everything. Then at that point, we'll have to contract with Acuren to come back in and do a post inspection on the work that was done and make sure it was satisfactory for the Corps. So then once that is complete, we can coat the areas that need to be coated. And there, quite honestly, in the Acuren report, there's a lot of failed coating that has nothing to do with welds. So that work would have to be done. But I think the plan is having Paul's guys, your guys, do that work, clean and coat those areas, recoat those areas. So that's where that stands right now. I don't know if you have any questions on that. So so essentially the welding portion and possibly even the post-welding inspection may be wrapped up by the time we have our next meeting. So moving on to the MGP seepage drains. So we have some movement there, and Luke's on here, so we're going to kind of, between Luke, Paul, and I, we're going to kind of speak to that. The first thing that I guess have to make sure that have they been filled in with on your meeting that you had with the Corps, because I was not in attendance with that.
No.
So Paul and Luke had a meeting with the Corps on a different subject, but then this came up. Luke, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so there's this risk screening assessment they've done. And I have a few slides prepared, so we don't need to go into all that, but for the point of this conversation, Paul, me, and John, we met with the Louisville District group, Andrew Brooks and Neil Cash, and they had identified these drains in their discussions of the risk assessment. So we said, hey, you never sent us any, you said you were going to send us some feedback, but you haven't. So finally it prompted us them to send this email, which basically, and I don't know, just to refresh everyone, we, Mike put together some plans and we put together a memorandum to say, you know, to explain the purpose of these drains and talk about, do we really need to, you know, do this work? Are they really seepage drains? Because there's lots of questions about that. And we highlighted we have it was several pages memorandum explaining, you know, the purpose of them and how this, anyways, long story short, they sent an email and they basically agreed with us and said, yeah, these probably aren't seepage drains. They're not too much of a concern, but we still expect you to do the work. So let us know when you get those plans. That's basically what they said.
Yeah, so
It's kind of like, okay.
And you know, in full disclosure, you were there at the meeting and so was Paul and so were I. I kind of thought, Luke, when we left that meeting, they were gonna give us a light pass.
Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
in March, we talked about it and they said, yeah, we looked at it briefly. We think we're probably just gonna come back and say, yeah, monitor it in place.
Yeah, we'll see
You
the
know,
email.
But when they finally put the pen to the paper, they did say, yeah, it's not, you know, too much of a concern, probably not seepage drains, but we still expect you to do it.
Bottom line
I'm
is,
paraphrasing there. But
yeah.
bottom line is, we got a project, Mike's gotta get specs together, tidy up his plans, be spot on with them, turn them back into the Corps, let them review them again, and hopefully we'll be able to put it out for bid and.
So where we were at, what we delivered to the Corps before was just very preliminary. This is what we'd like to do. This is what we think would solve the problem. To get their, if you remember, just to get their buy-in before we go through and do a full set of plans, and then they come back and say, no, we don't like that idea. You know, come back to us with something different. So we've been waiting all this time to just essentially get, yay or nay, and we really thought they were going to get it reduced. They agreed with everything that Luke and put together, outlining that we don't think these are really effective as seepage drains. We're not really sure of the purpose in the original design, but we don't think they're seepage drains. They really kind of agree with that and then say, go ahead and do the work. So what we need to do at this point.
With that said, I might add in there, with that said, part of this discussion was what to do with that pipe where the elevator shaft came through on one of the warehouses and destroyed it. And then there's another manhole that's like, they built a receiving platform deck on top of. Now, in this plan that we presented to them, part of the discussion was, hey, the way that we're gonna fix it, we don't have to go back into that corner and fix that pipe back there. We can kind of just fix it so the water will still get into the pipe and we don't have to worry about that manhole that's been buried. So, and Mike and Paul, but you can chime in here too, but I think we can go forward with this plan with all the discussion we had. There was a benefit in having this discussion because prior to that, I think they were gonna make us go back in there and fix that situation. But based on this memorandum, and this plan, we're not gonna have to go back in there, is my understanding.
Well, and the other part of that is we can't go back up in there. There's no access to it.
Right,
There is no access.
right. So,
So we're just leaving a pathway for the water. If you were to get water come up underneath that portion of the warehouse, there's a pathway that it can still make its way into these drains. So, and that was our argument. It's kind of no different than L&N warehouse where it's all open underneath, and if water's coming up, it's gonna find its way into the drains. So it's similar.
But we're not gonna have to do a 408. and we're not gonna have to pay them.
We're not gonna have to pay them to review it, but we're gonna need either a 408 or a letter of no objection, which he'll
Okay,
get.
okay.
Yeah.
Let her know.
That's up to the Corps, whichever one they wanna give us.
Okay.
If the only thing they want to give us is a letter of no objection, then they're not mandating anything.
It's safe,
I don't understand why we're doing it at all if they say it has nothing to do with the levy, it has nothing to do with levy drains, it has nothing to do with levy safety. But we're gonna go ahead and let you guys do it anyway. Well, I don't want to do it. I don't want you to let me do it if I don't have to do it.
it does state here in this email, a letter of no objection, approval from the Corps, levy safety section will be needed for the proposed repair prior to construction. So that's the level that they're.
It sounds to me like the Corps
And,
says they're MGP's warehouse.
And
They're not the levy district's warehouses, they're not the levy district's drains, they're not detrimental to the levy in any way.
yeah, that's a good, I'll look into one thing. Andy, I believe they called it out in the formal inspection. But that is a good point. I'll go back into the formal inspection and see what they said about these drains. I think they called it out, so really it comes down to, does it affect the PLA 499 status? So we'll
And
go
they
back
said,
in. I think,
they said it does.
That's what they're saying.
yeah,
in this-
that's what I was thinking, would be the incentive there. But we'll go back and double check, Andy, to your point, yeah.
If
I
there's
mean,
any,
I don't wanna do it either, guys. Here's the thing, I mean, and we made this point up at the meeting, guys, y'all build a levee system, you use concrete pipe all the way around the system, and what we got, 200 feet of corrugated metal pipe that's rusted underneath the warehouses that they built, but they're not letting up on it. So, I mean,
unless you're 100% sure, could you not make a quick call to get some clarification? Would that hurt anything?
I think we got our
I
clarification.
think, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with Andy either, but
I'm disappointed.
I mean, really, we are. When I got this email after that conversation we had down there, and then, you know, we're gonna spend a lot of money on a relief well project. And again, I don't know what it's gonna cost, but it's not gonna be a couple $1,000s.
Yeah, the only thing I would ever ask of you guys is if we go through this and we get everything drawn up, they approve it, we put it out for bid. If it's reasonable, you know, okay, but if it's a skyrocketed, and here's the thing about this job, it's a specialty job. You got a very volatile atmosphere, a warehouse there's all kind of specialized equipment, all kind of safety precautions. If this job goes skyrocketing, I wouldn't have any problem at all with going to the Corps of Engineers and saying, gosh, can we relook at this? Because looky here, don't we have better things to do with our money than something that hasn't hurt anything
But did
for the
you,
last, I don't know, Andy, them pipes don't rust out in 2 weeks. They probably spent the last 30 years rusting,
so,
and it hadn't affected anything.
but did you get that specific with them from the beginning and say?
Oh,
look,
hell yeah. Yeah, I've had this conversation with them and I had it that day.
and I understand they have a million people they talk to. Maybe that kind of got lost somewhere in transition. I don't know. I think it's worth a call just to say, we want to make sure we're understanding what you're saying here. And tell them again, could be very high.
Well, remember too, if it gets too high, we've already talked to them once. Remember we were gonna build the cofferdams
You know,
out in Tanner's Creek, and it came in at, we were thinking it's gonna be 500,000 or 600,000. It was 1.8 million. Remember, and then we went to them and they didn't roll over. I don't mean that, but they go,
They said, keep an eye on it.
keep an eye on it.
And
because
I
this-
got a feeling we got that option if it happens to us
Again,
again.
it gets too expensive,
but
guys.
what's too expensive? Where is that number?
Yeah.
And what's it, and how much money are we gonna spend to get to that number?
Well,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we gotta do a lot of work just to even get to that number.
I don't know if it's a lot. Michael's plan isn't, I mean, the plan that he started out with isn't very far from where we're at right now.
No, for us to get something back to the Corps is not a big activity.
No, but it's a cost.
It is a cost, you're absolutely right, it's not free, but, it's pales in comparison to what the cost would be for the repair. And I feel like, and Luke and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like basically what they're saying is we gotta at least get to that point, and then I feel we will have a legitimate argument to cut some of this project back, because again, they documented here in this email that they feel it's unlikely, and these are their words, that it's unlikely that these are seepage drains. These seepage drains were incorporated as part of the levee system for under seepage relief. They state this a couple of times. So if we get, but at the end, like you said, they want us to go forward with the project, but if we get to the point, and this is an enormous project, I think we take this document back with the costs and we say, you know, come on, we need some relief here. That would be, I think, the plan.
Yeah, and in that same thread with those copper dams for the pipe inspections, I recall there was conversation before we got the bids, trying to be like, hey, do we really need to do this? And it took, and it, you know, they understood, but it took the bid, it took the cost for them to be like, okay, yeah, we'll back off. But we met with them. We had this memorandum, but we had a meeting before the memorandum where we explained what we were going to do. And even in that, they said, okay, provide the memorandum. But anyways, so
Well,
that, I mean, if you don't want us to reach back out just to confirm via phone, we can do that. But it might take that cost, kind of that bid and the final cost for them to finally back off.
here's another potential option if you want to keep your costs down to try to get some numbers. I mean, there's not much I have to do to the plans to put it in the hands of contractors and get some numbers. So I don't know, do we want to take it all the way to the point of getting the letter of no objection from the Corps? Or would we rather, let's put it in the hands of some contractors, get some numbers, then take it back to the Corps before we get their approval to move forward and
Well,
argue with
the problem with that is, Mike, is in order to do this particular job right, we're gonna have to put it in the paper, we're gonna have to run it for a period of time and do all that proper stuff. So I say, if you're gonna do that at all, you need to run the proper course.
Yeah.
Instead of just recruiting, because this is, I mean,
yeah,
we need to go to the full works and you need to prepare the whole thing, I think.
okay.
So do we want, and Greg brought up the point, do we want Luke to lob in a call, I guess, first, or just what direction are we giving Luke and?
I think it wouldn't hurt to have the call.
Exactly.
I mean, all they can do is say, no, we want you to do this.
That's right.
And maybe he gets a different answer. You never know.
I agree.
Okay,
Luke, we can talk in the morning. All right?
Sound good?
when you have the call, I want Paul to be on the call too, though. Luke, when you have it.
I'd like to be on that too as well.
Okay, Mike? Okay,
All right, let's move on. I have one last item and I'll let Paul start on, let's open this one up.
Okay, at the end of High Street, West High Street, over the years, you'll see these two pictures, and that part of our levee system is just quite a little bit steeper in them areas than anywhere. And then when you get on down on that lower picture, you'll see where they put all that riprap in there for that reason. And I would like, for safety reasons, because if you look up by the guardrail, those ruts and the Abbey's slide and I know I've got two guys that are somewhat comfortable, but they do say it is hairy. And I got one guy that's, you know, they're just, it's just nerve wracking when you get on things that are too steep. And then we got that wall down there on that far end. I would like to explore and if you guys would let me use Michael, I would like to take and put riprap from where the other riprap is all the way up to that curve and on that side of that pole and spray it instead of cut it. And I can, once the riprap's down, I can probably get it sprayed for nothing because the guy's in there spraying it anyhow and he hardly ever adds anything to it. But I would like to get him to put something together, put before the Corps, use a standard operating procedure and put it out for bid and, you know, bring it back to you guys to see whether we can do it or whether we can't. That's what I'm asking on that project. It's,
Any clue what that would cost? Any thought about what that would cost?
I don't like guessing anymore, Jared.
I hear you.
Don't let him guess. He was about $1 million off on the last one. Don't let him guess.
$1.5 million off, but the truth is, it
$200 million, that's
depends
not
on
bad.
how busy people are. Nowadays, everybody's, things cost.
I think you should.
Riprap's $800 one?
I mean, it's,
And it doesn't go very far.
And drops in the bucket.
How much is it?
Kind of-
but Mike will put together a good bid package. He's getting familiar with working with the Corps, so
We've actually done some riprap projects for the Corps in the past, so I'm very familiar with what they require.
yeah, and I think it's something they can handle and we can get him right on it. And I think it'd be a safety project more of what I'm looking at.
Just make sure it was, keep it under 200, I'll be happy, it'll be good.
Well, I would hope.
So what, I think I went down and looked at it. It really is. And when I saw those ruts, I thought we had like, it was slipping or something. And Paul said, no, those are the ruts of the,
That's what that's.
I thought it was
Yeah.
like, it was eroding, I thought
Oh.
first. And he goes, no, it's not eroding.
It's just an area that just.
So what's everybody's feelings? You want Paul to move forward? Okay.
Okay, Mike, you heard that.
How about the gate closure? Did you say something on that? I'm sorry.
I did not,
Okay.
I really don't have anything major on that. We are, other than we're working with the state to get some dates when we can,
Okay.
you know. But I will, obviously, it's gonna take quite a bit of planning to do
Yeah,
that.
I was writing something down.
It's moving forward.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we're gonna go to Luke for the Mundell update. If you got anything, Luke, after that conversation.
Yeah, one primary thing, and I've been mentioning it, over the last, I have a few slides, 3 slides on this topic. I've been mentioning it over the last few months, but now it's really coming to a closure. And what I'm talking about is this risk screening assessment. And we attended a meeting on April 29th. And like I said, it's come to a close. So now I really want to take just 3 slides to make sure you all understand how Army Corps views this assessment and how it's, how you can view it and the consequences for Army Corps and what it means for you. So I just have a few points to make sure, to clarify. The primary purpose of this screening level risk assessment is for the Corps. And it's basically so they can understand their nationwide risk portfolio. So they have a risk rating on all their levies across the country, and they can identify where the riskiest levies are, and they can identify and put their resources there and not put them at the less risky levies. So a secondary outcome or purpose of these assessments are that now every levy system has a risk assessment, which the levy sponsor can use. And it identifies the key drivers of risk in each system so that you all can focus on those key drivers of risk and take steps to reduce the overall risk. And again, this is like a big picture assessment, so there's not a lot of details in their report, but it still can be beneficial. So the status of the report, they had the initial draft that was approved in September. We commented on it in October, and then they presented it. The Louisville district presented it to the national cadre, risk cadre, and then there were some more revisions. And then this latest presentation in April was to the Army Corps Senior Oversight Group, and Mundell and Paul attended the national cadre and SOG meeting, and it was a really good opportunity for the Louisville district to highlight basically how good the Lawrenceburg levy system is to the national level of Army Corps. And some positive notes in these meetings, in the screen assessment, they talked about how active LCD was, how the levy was in good condition, how there's been a lot of investigations and ongoing investigations, which is all good. And they've updated some of the screening assessment over these last several months based on feedback from LCD and Paul and from us. So after this April meeting, Paul and we here at Mundell, we had a meeting with the Louisville district to make sure we understood the outcome of this latest SOG presentation and what this report means to you all. And so before I get to what it means to LCD, I'm just gonna have one slide to highlight the components of this whole assessment so you can understand how it all fits together. And basically the way the Army Corps looks at their risk assessment is there's three components. You have the hazard, so the river, you have the condition and the performance of the levee system, and then you have the consequences, right? The people behind the levee and all the infrastructure and economic impact behind the levee. So you can't really do anything about the river, about the risk of that, right? So we're not going to talk about that. You can take action on the levee performance and also on the people to reduce risk. So three things that highlighted in this presentation to the national SOG group and in the report was one, relief wells. Historically, that's been the concern here, the primary concern, but based on the past studies that we provided to them, they looked at that and they actually lowered the risk rating for that. And they noted that there's ongoing investigations. So that was good. They adjusted that number. They noted in the presentation how pipe inspections or repairs need to still be addressed. And so that's Seagram's fit into that conversation some. And then in their report, for the Lawrenceburg system, the highest driver of risk in terms of levee performance is gate closure. Now, that doesn't mean that that's not really a remark on the condition of your gates. They talked about this in the presentation. Inherently, gate closures are one of the highest drivers of risks in any levee system, because if it were to fail, there's basically no way to stop the breach. So the way that the numbers crunch, like they're looking at, if this thing fails, how likely can you stop the breach? Well, if the gate fails, you can't really stop the water from pouring in. So inherently, gate closures are one of their highest risk drivers. And we'll get into what that means to you all in the next slide. In terms of the consequences, they just highlighted how the depth of flooding, that's 20 feet of flooding. Can't really do anything to change that. They did talk about one driver risk is just the fact that there's one way out, right? Once you close the gates, there's one way out. So that was a concern they noted. You can't do anything to change it really. The property damage, you can't do anything to change that. But the people behind the levee and the emergency preparedness, you can do things to change that number and reduce the risk. Okay, so the upshot, what it means, well, for the Corps, at the end of this presentation, the National Senior Oversight Group sits back, they look at the report, look at the presentation, and they just vote. So there's some subjectivity. And they just vote, I think there was like 12. Excuse me. And they, even though in the risk assessment, they lowered the number in terms of overall risk, the SOG group still voted for class 3, moderate risk. So that didn't change. And basically that's kind of a sweet spot. Just because if you're low risk, well, Army Corps won't really pay attention to you as much. If you're high risk, they'll pay a lot of attention, they'll focus on you, but class 3, they'll still pay attention to you. There's still a decent amount of risk. Anyways, that's how they kind of view it. And then the action items on your end, things they talked about in the presentation was things that LCD could do to reduce the overall risk, right? So 3 things, well, no, just 2 things really. One is what you could do, what LCD could do to reduce the potential life loss is just to add to the emergency action plan. They talked about how there's one way out. So things you could do would be to have more details on the evacuation planning, the evacuation routes, maybe define action levels. You can continue on with activities like community outreach, testing, like the gate closures, that's a good example. Things like that increases the emergency preparedness. So we met with Paul after this to talk about and kind of brainstorm things we could do to add to the emergency action plan to increase the emergency preparedness. And then in terms of levee performance, they just noted finish out the relief wall studies, address the pipe inspection repairs, which is the Seagram's work, which we just talked about. And then one thing, just because the gate closures is the highest driver risk in the LCD system, that and the relief walls, it just underlines the importance of the work that we're doing with the US 50 gate closure, with testing that and inspecting those tracks, just because that's a high driver of risk. Anyways, we had a few additional comments, and in our meeting a couple weeks ago, they said, go ahead and send over your comments. So we just have I think it's 2 pages that we're gonna send to them to things they could do to revise their risk screening. So that's the summary of the risk screening. It's basically finalized. And then in terms of general updates, we talked about the BRIC grant support. We'll support GMT. I'll touch base with them to see if they need anything from us. I think there's at least one thing. We'll jump on that. I also wanted to highlight too, Army Corps, since our last meeting, Army Corps did send a letter of support and it was very favorable. So that was good that they sent that and they are in full support of this BRIC grant. Seagram's drains, we'll coordinate with Rizzo. I think they'll be doing most of the work to prepare the specs and whatnot, but we'll work with them to make sure that gets through to completion. The Durbin Plaza development, we got that agreement in place and they submitted the updated plans at the beginning of this week. So we reviewed that, we're still in the process. We have just a few comments, so we're gonna get that back with the holidays, early next week. And then the levee inspection. Excuse me, I mentioned, I think it was last meeting, but They don't have funding for annual inspections anymore. They just have funding for the formal 5-year inspections. But now they have this levy inspection app, and they like to have the sponsor do a yearly kind of walkthrough of levy and inspection, take pictures and document, so they can, when they show up every 5 years, they have some documentation over the last in between years. So we have a meeting with Paul and the crew next week with a person from the Army Corps, and they're gonna walk through that app and what they would like to see in this self-guided inspection. So we have to get out here in the coming month to take care of that. And then in terms of our seepage report, our monitoring report, which feeds into the seepage analysis and the O&M manual updates, that work is still ongoing. And then the last thing, the FEMA finally communicated that they are back at it and working on that. They are updating the draft LAMP report, incorporating our comments. So they're back to work on that. That's all we have. Do you have any questions?
So Luke, on that Durban Plaza project, I've been following your emails and you had some good questions for them, and it doesn't sound like, I mean, you got a lot of information from them, but there's some things that are lacking. I want the guys realizing you don't have everything you need yet, right?
Right. They're still doing their foundational design. Yeah, and there's a few other things, but we can, with the information we got, I've looked through it, and we've already identified a few comments too that they can weigh in on.
Well, I guess I don't want the guys thinking that you're gonna get back with them, but you're not okaying and signing off on it yet, early next week. You're still in communication and talks with them.
And who's being copied, who are you copying on all your communication back and forth? Of course, you're copying Paul. Who else is on that email that they're seeing that we don't have everything, so we're not ready to give the okay? I don't want to get in the same situation we got into before. Who all's being copied on these emails?
It's I'm replying all to so it's Jeff Talkers
Okay.
with Wayne Consultants, Paul, John Mundell, and then there's one person on there from the developer.
Clarity call.
There's no city,
From the
there's no.
developer. Whoever Jeff Talkers initially
Okay.
CC'd on the email, I just reply all of that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. City's not involved with, so we don't need to copy them.
Right, I just wanted,
Okay,
they're
good.
not involved.
Right.
Okay.
Anybody got any questions
Who
for
is
him?
who is doing the project?
Flaherty and Collins,
They are,
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
the building.
they're the ones that got the tax credits and they're.
I want to ask Luke a question real quick, going back to the floodgates. Are there other floodgates that would be considered less risk, or do we have the best floodgate closures that you could have?
Yeah, so it was an interesting conversation. To answer your question in short, nothing's wrong with your floodgates. They're fine. You have the issue with the tracks, and we're looking into that. But that's not, they noted that in their report, the track issues, but it wasn't like and maybe it will decrease the risk a little bit, but it wasn't that wasn't like the driver of risk.
Greg, I
In the
think that-
presentation, they were like, or Paul, if you want to jump in.
Well, I think to answer Greg's question, the answer is everyone in the country is getting told that their biggest risk is the floodgates.
I
No
guess,
matter what kind.
I guess I should ask the question, can we do anything to improve our floodgates?
Well, we had a meeting, I went up and talked to them, and I don't think we can do anything to improve that floodgate thing, but we can change and install things in our emergency action, and we're planning on going to the school and in our emergency action plan. And I'm gonna ask, Mike's gonna do some participation, but we've got to state that when we shut our floodgates, there'll be no more school, because if you look at their study,
Well, they want all that broke down.
they're figuring everybody's still gonna be in school
School. And
and
in
in the
church.
jail. So
In jail.
we've already talked to the sheriff, we've talked to all the people, and we're gonna go around, and Luke's gonna, I gave him a list, and he's gonna make me a little letter for like each person to try to get them to sign, to where they can see that, look, at this stage of the river, these people are gonna be gone. Proximo is gonna have a skeleton staff for emergency, MGPY, and just things like this will be taken care of. So that's gonna take, because they're figuring everybody being in town.
Yeah.
And I think a big help would be just letting them know that, look, guys, we're evacuating at some point. We ain't gonna have school in session when the river's getting ready to come up on 50.
They wanted to know how we're gonna tell
US50
them.
gate closes, there's gonna be evacuation.
It's just,
It
yeah,
has to happen.
but in all fairness to them, they're looking at our emergency action plan, and it does not
It
state
doesn't say
that.
that.
So that's what we're gonna try to change.
Next question, how many gates do we have? I think I know.
We got 8 gates, but 2 of them are the ones, the old dump gate that Seagram's has, and the other one is the sandbag gate out past Station 3. So
Okay.
you've really got 6 foot.
Okay, I know the 2 railroads and the 2 Route 50s really can't do nothing with that. But how about the one that's over at Hollywood, that they actually made for Hollywood?
It's a good gate.
Huh?
It's a good gate.
No, I'm saying it's a good gate. My question is, do they really need that? Is that not something we could close up?
We can close it. I mean, because they don't deliver there anymore, if that's what you're
Right.
asking.
What I'm saying
Yeah.
is fill it in to make it part of the levy and eliminate that gate. That would help the risk, I would think.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, you got a lot of work there to do that. And I, honestly, that's probably the safest gate we got, because it's the smallest. I mean, I can't picture that gate being a risk at all.
But if part of the grade is the risk and you eliminate as many of those risks, it seems like it would help.
So,
I'd be willing to
So
bet
in-
you, if you took that gate out, you're gonna have the same grade, because you got all those other gates.
Exactly.
yes, so the way that this risk screening works, yes, in general, if you took out the gate, it would reduce the overall risk in a big picture. The way that this screening works is they focus in on the most risk. Or they just focused in on the US 50 gate in this assessment. So it wouldn't actually change the numbers at all of this risk screening. 'Cause
I know
they
about
didn't even
probability,
think
and
about
if you
that.
had 56 gates, I know the probability would be higher than if you only have 6. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to limit.
This
it.
is a very kind of big picture report. Yeah,
Okay.
I hear that.
Just a thought.
How many levee systems has gates as good as ours? How many systems out there have all swing gates like we have?
Right.
Not
That's
manufactured for you.
Exactly.
Building build.
Well, exactly. And it was an interesting conversation because in the presentation, the Louisville district guy, he was talking about the gates. And he said, they're in pretty good condition. It's roller gate and everything. And then at the end, he said, the gates are the highest driver risk. And someone in the senior oversight group raised her hand. She was like, I thought you said the gates were in good condition. Why are these the highest risk? She's like, I just don't get that. And so then there was like a senior oversight conversation, and they were like, yeah, it's just in general, the way that the math works and their equations and whatnot, it's just typically the highest driver of risk. And I guess they said what they've seen across the nation is that that's often one of the points of failure, so to speak, whether
But how would they
maybe
fail?
there's a breach or
That's- They ought to be
Yeah.
able to state how
it's
they
just the
would
way the
fail.
math works,
Yeah. I
so
get
to
it.
speak. I mean, in their, black, it's kind of a black box. They don't give us all the details. So, but just to say, the number, the risk numbers, it's not a reflection of the condition of your gates or how good your gates actually are. It's just kind of in their eyes, gates are inherently risky,
So you're saying they're the
so to
government,
speak.
right? You're saying they're the government.
So-
Like insurance actually.
About 3 or 4 years ago, there was a group, and I think they were from Illinois, and I don't remember who ended up sending them the plans, but they had to replace the stop logs and they wanted to look at our plans on the rolling gate, and the Corps asked us, would you mind sharing those plans? Because, you've got one of the only rolling gates that we've got, so there ain't too many out there.
I think what they're saying is if a gate fails, it's catastrophic. I mean, it's gonna fail instantly, it's catastrophic, and like Luke said, you can't stop it at that point.
Right.
You're done.
But isn't it the same if a levee fails?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I
they
get you.
actually,
I
they
understand.
actually talk about that too.
Well, I understand.
Yeah. They look at worst case scenario, and there ain't no way to get them not to look at worst case scenario. Yeah.
I'll finish it up by saying we've spent a lot of time, there's been a lot of meetings and we're just moderate risk. I mean, I don't know how many meetings we've had on this and you're communicating back and forth. When we gonna wrap it up? When you gonna change our evacuation plan so we can put this behind us? Cause I know you met with Paul. Paul drove up to Indianapolis and you guys are working on, when we close the gates, we're gonna send the police around with the sirens. They wanted to know, how you gonna get everybody out of town? Well, get out, I mean, they wanted to,
We're gonna hire bus service.
I don't know, it was just, we just need to update our evacuation plan, Luke, and get that behind us. I don't think it's gonna be that hard, is it?
No.
A lot of details.
A lot of details. And we gotta go to the schools. They can't have church, you can't have school. I mean, when it rains hard or there's snow, I can't imagine when the river, we close the gates, they're not gonna have school, they're not gonna have church.
Well, hopefully my goal would be to have an evacuation or Mike's evacuation plan inserted into the emergency action plan along with proof of, some letters and signatures from the school system, the jail, and different people, and pages showing, hey, we've talked to these people. They're willing to cooperate. They won't be in town.
Okay.
So we are working on it. We'll get it done. Honestly, I don't think it'll change anything. And Luke, I don't know. I don't think they're doing this risk program to hurt us. Do you?
No. No, it's primarily for them, so they understand their risk portfolio, so to speak. Because, just for context, back in 2006, when Katrina failed, FEMA came to Army Corps and said, hey, Corps, how many levees do we have?
Yeah.
Because FEMA was trying to understand their exposure, and Corps was like, we have no idea. They had no idea in 2006 where their levees were, where all of them were, let alone the risk of all their levees. So that's why they've done all this work with the National Levee Database and, giving a map with all of them. Now they're doing all this risk.
Hey, Luke, last question, then I swear we can get on with this, but, once they're done with the risk assessment, if that ever happens, is there a way to say 10% are in this level, 20% in the low risk. I mean, will we ever know kind of where we stand compared to everybody else?
Yeah, so I don't know if they'll make their numbers public. In the presentation, they showed some slides with all of the dots of like, you know, that of their system of their portfolio that they've been reviewing. And well, it was kind of in the middle, the LCD system, because it's a 3. So there were a lot of dots with low risk, and there were more dots at the low risk. There were some way up at the high risk, and then a decent amount at 4, but we were right in the middle, basically at 3. So
Okay, thank you.
How about an Amber Alert type system? I got one this morning.
Yeah, yeah, they can have not.
Nation over emergency management, they got a system.
Yeah,
Just like
I mean,
tornado.
that's a big,
Just like tornado.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else or Luke, you got anything else?
that's all.
Thanks,
All
Luke.
right, thanks, Luke.
Thank you, Lou.
All right, Satch, let's
All right.
move.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Go ahead, Satch.
Mike.
Michael, say it.
I think it was 2 meetings ago, I came to you guys, told you that I could get numbers for the Moss unit project on the pump stations, and wasn't able to get them together for the last meeting, but as you can see, you got them in front of you. I had Heather do a sheet, do a little bit of math for you, and then I got the cost behind that. Now, just to kind of refresh your memories here, I have 10 Moss units. 2 of them are bad and they're obsolete. So I can't find any of the type to replace. They're obsolete, they're not available. A few years back, we had the same problem, but the guys were able to track either 1 or 2 down, I forget how many it was, so we just had to replace the Moss units. Now, this time, you've got a whole different Moss unit, and in order for the system to work, you'd have to change all 10 Moss units on the pumps so that they can talk to the system. So that's kind of explaining that first part of that, where the work has to be done in Station 1, Station 1A, which is remedial, and Station 2A, which is over there in between the warehouses. Now, you see the total cost. It's gonna take Xylem and Toric to do that work. You've got pump work, and then you've got the engineering work and the setup work with the computer, which is Toric's end of it. So the total of that would be that $232.19. Now, going below that, we had a spare pump, and we had to use the spare pump. We put it in, and it's running. And the one that we took out about a year ago, we evaluated that pump, and it's gonna cost so much to take and fix it that the recommendation was getting a new pump, a small one. The small pumps at Remedial are the ones that get all the hours put on. So you've got a pump of $110,468, which if we can get a spare pump. And then one of the other little pumps that we have going right now in the pump station is running at about 60%, and that's because the lower end of it is got quite a bit of wear on it. So while we're doing this work, I would like to rebuild the bottom end of it, and that cost at 1A would be $50,000. Now, the total, you see it, the freight and the total project. That's what we're looking at to do this, whole project. The reason why I put it in front of you is for questions, for, we'll try to answer them, and if you don't wanna do it all, that's why I separated it a little bit, just so you guys could see it. It's something we need to do. We got pump stations, they're gonna cost money, and, the business we're in, nothing's cheap. So, any comments, any questions? What I'm looking for tonight is a decision.
When can they get it done, Zach? I mean, what's the time frame?
There's some ordering time, and if you look on Xylem's
Yeah, I didn't,
quote,
I'll be honest
it,
with you.
it makes a comment on there.
I was just curious, I mean,
I think there's a comment somewhere on there about when they order this stuff, it's like
allow 8 weeks for design, allow 16 weeks
Yeah.
for delivery.
8 to 16 weeks.
I just got a question for Jared. Do we need to have more than 2 bids or one bid each?
You need 3 bids, however, both of those projects, it's one of those things that is proprietary, rare things you're looking for. So is there other companies that could get this done for us in the time frame that these 2 companies are bidding right now?
How do we know unless we have?
But I'm just asking Paul, I mean, like,
We'll do this.
Are any of these submersible motors? Or all the motors up top?
The motors that were needed, they're down.
They're all submersible?
The motors at station 1 are down. Motors at station 2
Are they flight pumps?
are down. They're flight.
They're all flight.
That's the big reason. You got flight pumps, you got Xylem, that's worked for us for probably 30 years. They know everything about the pumps.
Well, I think they'll do a good job. I just want to make sure we're doing everything right.
Yeah,
It's a specialized, isn't it kind of like,
We say that.
well, no, not really. I mean, we're gonna bid out the MGP. We're gonna bid out the riprap or whatever, so
I mean, we've got Tori doing the engineering, and I really don't want just anybody walking in and working on all our SCADA and all our controls and everything. They're very familiar with what we got going on, and to me, it's just, it's a no-brainer. We talked to Jared, and we just think it's special purpose, or however you want to say it.
there's
but I-
special purchasing rules. Does it work, Jared?
Paul stating, and this is the most important thing about these special rules, Paul, is that you gotta make sure you make that statement and put it in the folder. The folder is this, Paul has just stated it. We've got our system that is very particular, and that we need a particular company to work on it, that we know it can fix it. Health and safety is more important than the purchasing rules, always. So as long as you put that little memo in there, I'm fine with it, and I think the state will be fine with it.
Well, and that's what me and you talked about, and Heather's ready to do the folder and have everything documented. Matter of fact, like you was talking, this meeting's being documented kind of, so we'll create the folder and have it on whatever kind of file you want.
We have it now, right, Heather, don't we? We have it set up.
Yeah, when we were talking to
I
Jared
saw-
about it.
Yeah,
Is Jared okay with that?
Yeah,
okay.
Can we get in there too? They have to put their bill in 60 days after.
Gotta think, get this one.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe, stretch it out.
And
Paul's gonna do it, Paul will have a checklist, cause
it's gonna be on my radar from now on.
Hey, and Paul, I'll tell you another thing is this is public works. You know this is special purchase rules. We still have some mandatory contractual phrases we've got to get in there. with them, so just by the state, so.
To do what?
Get him in the contract. He wants to look the contract over and may have to add some language to
Thank
it
you, yes.
To comply with.
to comply.
They both sent something to sign, but I don't know if you wanna write something up. If you want me to get
Those are
these
the
to you.
contracts he's actually.
These are actual contractors? Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, I don't wanna come up with a contract, that's what I want you to do. If you wanna look at these things and have me send them to you, I'll send them to
Yeah,
them
please.
and they can sign. Can you come up with something for me?
Yeah, and what I would do is I would probably just piggyback on this. I did this with Mike a couple months ago where we had an agreement. We just add an addendum to it and say, you know, basically, we're not selling, it's stupid stuff. It's like, you're not selling to Iran, or you're not Iranian, you know, you're using American steel, you're doing drug testing, right, your workers, things like that are mandatory.
General.
And then the only thing I would ask of you is do you think you can have me that done by Tuesday sometime?
Okay.
Okay?
Come a second, Mr. Moore.
Yeah,
Just give them to me, please.
so subject to Jared reviewing that and adding any additional information, do I have a motion to
Oh, I don't
spend
need to just send me it.
$408,000.
$920 between Xylem, I guess, or is it, no, Tory
So we're gonna need two
and Xylem.
contracts,
Right,
two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For both of them.
Yeah, just send it to me, and I'll put an addendum to them.
should we do them separate, Jared? These
Yes, two different companies, two different.
Okay,
motions.
so do we have, it looks like the total Moss units are 232,019. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Dave's got a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mike Noel, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, then we need, what is that, Heather?
Use fair pump at 1A for 110,468.
Right, but that would be the total down below it, where you added it all together, wouldn't it be 232 minus 408,920?
Yep.
I'm a little bit worried about the way you're doing it, because what are you gonna do with the freight?
We'll put it in the,
Okay,
we'll put it in the second one. You mean the freight is
it's forever. I mean, they're gonna have to order things for the Moss units and
save me, Jared, what are we doing?
And according to this, there could be some tariff charges too that may.
that includes all of that.
Right.
So-
I mean, they're in there.
Jim, there's two things you can do. One, you can set a percentage overage, and then the board would have to approve something beyond that number. So if you say a 10% over cost, and if it runs over that, then the board.
Well,
No, I'm afraid it wasn't split up, is that what you're saying? It was added together?
That's exactly what.
The freight we were putting on
Xylem provided a bid, and they've got that extra pump, the repair of the pump, and the 3 Moss
Right.
projects. All
How much is that?
One, and the freight. and
Xylem was
It's all
3,
334,550.
yes.
Do it like that.
Okay, so is that a motion, Andy?
Yeah, I'll make
It
that.
had to be amendment to the last one. Because we voted on it already.
We just rescind that last.
Yes,
Okay,
whoever made it would have to.
I rescind my first motion for
All right, I'll second that.
okay.
I'll second that, we're saying now we need to probably vote on that, I think.
Yep, good.
So, go ahead and,
All right.
you gotta take a vote on that.
Oh.
Us rescinding.
Is everyone in favor of rescinding that first motion?
Yes,
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
now.
Now, go ahead.
Andy can make it.
Motion to move forward with the Xylem proposal of $334,550 for the Moss units, spare pump, and repair of another pump.
okay, so we got a motion by Andy, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Staub, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And Torque doesn't have theirs added up, does he?
I'm a little concerned about the torque when it just seems to me that they've got to be duplicating some labor. I mean, Xylem's got quite a bit of labor on their bid, and then Torque's got labor for conduits and removing the old Moss units. Xylem's gonna have to do that. I I feel like they're duplicating some service.
Well, they're making cabinets. They gotta make cabinets too. There's a lot of,
Existing ones aren't in cabinets.
you gotta have cabinets, and I was just sitting there listening. So they're actually, you know, there's the existing cabinets, I guess you have to have things separated and different things, and they just were talking about having to do cabinets.
So Flight's gonna ship all this equipment to them, and then they're gonna put it into a cabinet and build it, and then Flight's gonna show up and help them install it. I mean,
Flight's gonna come in, pull pumps, and after, Toric's gonna come in first. They're gonna make all the cabinets up, they're gonna come in, and they're gonna do this in a phase to where, Flight can come in and do one pump, they can hook it up so that we keep things running in each pump station, and then they'll be taking them out as we put them in. So on each station. So the other part of this is they're not gonna be able to, they'll do their cabinet building, they'll bring things in and they'll do it, but this is not gonna be like a one trip because you got all 10 of these pumps to do.
That torque number is 74,370, by the way.
And there's been a lot of thought in this. We've actually had some field meetings. I had the guys involved in it. We went below, we looked at everything. I had Toric there, I had Ray Sizemore and the guy from Flight. There were two of them. So there's been a lot of thought process and back and forth on it. So I think, you know, I'm pretty confident we've got it covered real well too.
So we need that one for Tori.
So we need now,
I'll make a motion to hire Tor Engineering for the pump station projects for $74,270.
okay, I got a first by Dave, Staub, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mike, no, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Moving on quickly. I just want to update Andy and I think everyone knows there's been some water issues in Scotty Ricketts' daughter's name, and I don't know her married name. I apologize if she's listening. We may have a joint project possibly. Andy went with me and good, he was there along with Paul because I'm not that familiar with the project, but he's having some water issues and the city hired an engineer, which was helping Andy, who did they hire? Structure Point charged him $25,000 to do a study. And really, when the study was done, no one really knows. There's maybe, we don't know whose problem it is. Is it the city's? And you can cut me off anytime, Andy.
Well, no, they did their study, and there's, you know, they studied the watershed, and they determined how much water can reach this area, and they decided that they decided that there was either a clog in the pipe at the time the two incidents happened where the basement flooded, or the grate perhaps was covered over and the water just couldn't get into the grates. And those are two plausible ideas. And the third that they won't even consider is that the system is just inundated with water. It's over capacity. They weren't even willing to consider that because they've added a lot of surface water drains from the city streets to our collector system.
They turns, Andy pointed out all these different turns they.
Right.
Turns are gonna slow it down.
They've got a lot of friction loss in that system with the moving it around all the buildings and jogging back and forth, and up and down. They designed it to be a 36-inch pipe because somebody decided that's what it wanted to be. Well, then it ties into our 30-inch pipe later down the line. Well, somebody should have said, hey, if we need it to be 36 up here, doesn't it need to be 36 all the way wherever it's going or even larger? Well, it's not. So still, they were unwilling to consider the whole system is just full of water and it's backing up. Both instances happened, and we had like a 2-inch rain for a very short period of time. Their study said that it happened 2 days after 1 or 2 inch rain. They were gone for a week.
They were gone.
They travel, they're traveling nurses, both of them are.
They didn't.
They come home on a Saturday and it rained hard on Wednesday and they're walking down in the basement. They can tell they had 4 feet of water in the basement. It's gone now, but anyway, they've got to replace the furnace twice. Unfortunately for Amber's, you got to sit there and listen to all us idiots bark at each other back and forth and just point fingers. She needs a solution. But I think somebody needs to put just a simple float alarm on that grate that's right outside the doctor's building that at least alarms someone and lets somebody know that there's about to be a potential flooding situation in her basement.
That's a good
And-
idea.
That is a good idea.
And at that point, somebody can go over there and start opening up manholes and seeing where the bottleneck is and how far it goes. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to be out there in the middle of a rainstorm.
And somebody's got to maintain
That's part of
it,
the job.
and maintain it and test it every so often, sure, because they do go bad.
Is the likelihood of having one of those again this year is good.
It's happened twice in 3 years or whatever, so.
With
And
the
wasn't all
events
that-
that we get anymore, it's not unusual that we would get another 2-inch rain in a short period of time.
No.
Now, Andy, we got over at Station 2A in the basement of the warehouse, down in that manhole where we keep that water down, Sigram's put in something like you're talking about. When the water gets to a certain level in our pump station, there's a light that'll come on.
Is it on a dial or it calls somebody or anything like that, or is it just an audible alarm and a light?
I like your idea. I mean, it's an audible and visual alarm. It's on, it doesn't call us. Matter of fact, we're in there pumping anyhow, but they just kind of did that as double protection. So I like that idea.
Every sewer lift station Lawrenceburg has that high level alarm.
That will call also.
I believe they do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a service you can buy the dialer.
$10 a month.
Yeah, you call
It's
it
proprietary.
$30 a month, or something like that.
But that would be the important.
Or a couple $100 to buy it from.
And there's a perfect spot to mount it right there, isn't there?
Sure.
And you can get a cellular base, which should work fine there, or you can tie it to the building's phone system, but that was an option.
I like that idea better than I do cutting a manhole in the middle of our yard.
Yard.
Putting that in our,
That's not gonna do anything
If the system's backing up, that's not gonna do a thing.
Right, it's not, I don't think it's a problem with the water not being able to get into that drain, and I don't think it's a clog, because clogs don't unclog themselves. And we haven't cleaned it since it happened, and the city says they haven't cleaned it since it happened. So,
I think it's over capacity.
we've all had plugged up sinks before, they didn't unplug themselves.
I might have missed this, so I'm sorry I used this one, but, so they've added the water off of the parking garage into that, is that correct?
Yeah, and what that study showed is not much of that water goes towards her house, to that section of pipe, but it all does tie into that system. All that parking garage, all of High Street, and literally all of High Street. So let's go back to the mid-90s, all of High Street used to go down High Street and then went under like the water rescue building, down Mary Street, down Walker Street. Well, now that's how it ties into our drain. All of High Street.
So it's overloaded pipes, basically.
Memphis Center, Ivy Tech, High Street itself.
and that's the whole reason why we put the retention system in the Whiskey City apartments, is to hold that water back for a certain period of time, because actually that goes into the same thing that you're talking about too.
Who owns the vacant lot right there?
No.
No, I'm right there.
He's talking about down by where she's at now.
By the parking garage.
The city owns that.
Yeah.
lot.
So you want to
Could you
that.
not make that a retention pond?
I don't think it's big enough, right?
Okay.
That real
Pretty
narrow.
It's, well, that pipe's shallow there already,
Oh,
so,
okay.
you know,
You'd be into the pipe.
the pipe itself is already acting as retention.
I got
It's
you.
not keeping up.
Okay. I was just curious.
Hey, Sag, I like that idea.
I like it if we could research it a little bit and present it to them over there about, you know, hey, guys, how about let's do this and monitor the damn thing.
But it's not gonna prevent it.
And I think that would prove,
Right, it's gonna give somebody some warning that maybe they can go down there and they can barricade off her. She's got an outside access, so it's just, once it backs up high enough, it hits that outside.
Just fills it
that
up.
walkout basement, and it shoves the door in, you know, she said it busted the door in the last time the water got so high up against the door trying to get in, and ended up just pushing the door off the hinges, I
And
guess.
it's coming from that graded drain.
It's just filling up that whole basin behind her house until it
Place.
spills into her basement.
Can a temporary dam be built around?
I mean, somebody can do something to go in there and cover the stairs or, you know, whatever it might take, but shore up the door, if you know what's gonna
They
happen.
give them enough time? I mean, I don't know.
So if nothing else,
We can
we
find out.
can open up manholes and know exactly why it's happening.
Right.
You just need to be there at the time it's happening.
Well, the alarm will go off, right?
Well, that's what I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, when that alarm goes off, some needs to be well in advance and giving to somebody time.
so is this something that you guys would like me to bring before you at the next meeting to have maybe a quote on installing that in that area? And then at that point, we could make a decision whether to take it to the city or
Well, because really, remember, they're back drawing something up. If you remember the instructions to the young lady was to draw up, they're drawing up something, a plan where they're gonna put that manhole right, you know? I mean,
this is more for us because we wanna find it out.
Oh, I know.
The truth is, I don't know if they really wanna find it out.
I'd say they don't.
Right, the city's idea was to dig up the pipe in her backyard and cut in another manhole and put in another storm grate, which is fine. If the idea was that the storm grate down by the doctor's building is just simply not able to take the water that's getting to it, or another plausible, not so plausible, and she didn't say it was what was happening, but it was insinuating perhaps that the water is coming so fast that it just can't meander through those yards and get to that last drain fast enough before it goes into her backyard. And that's not the case at all, because there's pictures of that grate down at the doctor's building with 2 or 3 feet of water on top of it. So
It's getting there, just
it's
can't
getting
get
out.
out.
Just
Can't get
can't
out.
get out. Right. So, but that's what they want to do. They want to put a manhole in the backyard with another drainage grate. And it's not gonna hurt anything for it to be there.
But that's gonna tie into the.
I don't think it's ever
existing
gonna help anything.
system, Right?
we don't want them
See how it
tying,
works.
we don't want them tying into our collector system. They need to tie,
With that said,
Yeah.
now, this little one particular surface water area,
right,
these backyards were part of the original levee design. So by adding this drain doesn't really change the original intent of that collector drain. Because it was part of the original levee.
Okay.
Collector drain system. Now tying in the High Street itself, you know, from curb to curb and all of that, none of that was supposed to be in this pipe.
right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they don't, the Corps would never allow, they wouldn't allow us to tie into a collector system now. Would they?
Only if we spent months and months studying it to make sure it wouldn't overwhelm it. And at that point, they're gonna say, nah, we don't want you to do
Yeah, I was gonna
that.
say, we've done enough studying for them.
Yeah,
Yeah, we, okay, so I like that, at least we can figure out, I like that.
I like the alarm being there.
I do
That's a
too.
good idea.
We'll, I don't know how expensive, we don't need to do a joint project with the city, we'll do that ourselves, can't we? They're thinking about where the joint project's gonna be to put this manhole and everything in the back.
Right, that's gonna be, let's just call it $20,000. It's not gonna be a lot of money, you know.
Oh, okay.
If you dig the street up and put a manhole in, you know, it's gonna be 20 grand. Now, this is in a backyard, but it's for us and it's for the city, so we know it's gonna cost more than it should. So let's call
Yeah,
it
20, I thought.
But where's that gonna tie into?
It's just gonna be, they're gonna dig up the pipe, cut out 4 feet of pipe, put a manhole in, and put a storm drain on top of it.
Still same amount of water.
I know, he tried to tell them, Andy tried and Paul did too, but we weren't going in.
You had engineers in the ring agreeing to that?
They weren't saying anything when it came.
No, they
back
didn't
down.
say much.
They knew they didn't take it far enough. But they did what they were paid to do, and I don't think they were wrong.
Right.
You know,
How deep, how
They didn't
deep is where?
consider, that as part of their study that they did, they only considered that watershed area. They did not consider pipe leaving the watershed area, they didn't consider anything. They said that the drain that's there and the size of pipe that's there should be adequate to take on the water itself. But it's not. So, and they didn't take,
So at what level do you set this float? Because if my memory is correct, that's not a very deep grate over there, is it?
no, it's not very deep. So, I mean, you set it so if there's any pooling at all, say just 6 inches below the grade,
Okay,
it'll
somebody will come over and look.
yeah, because it never should be that high. You know,
Right,
um,
right, yeah.
you know, it would have to be some sort of, I mean, you could have a level indicator, you could have a float, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Neither.
Pretty early and then needs to go off pretty early. So that
Gives you time.
give time for somebody to get there to react.
Yeah.
to
Well, I
something.
mean, once
And the
the
speed.
pipe's full, it's
Oh,
not gonna take long to get out of there.
Mhm.
No. no, once it gets full, it's,
So is it okay if Paul kind
do a little research.
of, Paul does a little
Research
research
and-
with Andy's help or whatever? I just think we should do that minimum so we can just, besides Paul driving by it every time it rains heavy.
No.
I mean,
well, you need a.
I
think
suggest we put a
the-
camera up and mount it on the side of the building so it shows you what I know. And then you would be able to see them.
Well,
You do that too,
No, do what, this is
but
bad.
the alarm is,
This alarm is a great idea.
but that would be placed in our pipe? Or no?
Well, that storm grate is technically ours.
Okay,
It's been moved.
So it'll
It used
be-
to sit in the middle of where the doctor's building is now. But they built the doctor's building and they moved it
right.
towards the east.
There used to be a collector system that went from there all the way down through Walnut Street and along the levee all the way down and across for our relief wells.
Followed New Street.
And with all the work, it's all been redone.
You'd have to see it, Mike. It's pretty interesting. Paul showed.
Well, I remember being over there in that area because we were looking at other things.
that road, that old dirt road used to run behind there. New Street. it was.
New Street.
People don't understand how much water and rooftops,
Concrete.
you know, rooftops
Concrete
or
parking lot.
concrete parking lots create how much water. I mean,
Speeds it all up.
I wouldn't even begin to guess how many millions of gallons or hundreds of thousands of gallons, who knows? But I like the idea
I like
that.
it. Let's look into that. How about quickly, Satch, the Durbin project update? I think you just had the guys you put in there.
Luke gave it.
Well, I know, the contracts. Here's,
Oh, okay.
we got it all signed and so they know.
Jared wrote it up, we got her signed. So let's go to community athletic park then. Skip Greendale, there isn't anything on it. Scoreboards. This year, when I called people and talked to them a little bit, started out with the high school, we were trying to work out schedules and things, and he said, hey, can you do anything with the scoreboard? It never worked very good last year. when I talked to Sherry, she said, hey, can you do anything with the scoreboards? They're not in too good a shape, weren't in good shape last year. And it's been nice to get that call last year. We just, so what I put in front of you guys, and I got an example of the scoreboards, and I had the guys go out and take, but there's panels on each one of these scoreboards, and these are the parts that you guys are getting priced to replace. And I think we're ordering 40 of those. Yeah. 46.
40. Well, there's one, yeah, there's two.
Yeah, there's different, things there. Now, they're bad. We found them. The guys can do the work. They're just plug and play on there and it'll take care of them. Just to give you a comparison though, so that's about $21,000. And I didn't want you guys not to have, I'm not trying to talk you into buying new scoreboards, but I wanted to show you what a new scoreboard would cost. So that's why that other stuff is behind it. It didn't try to talk you into it. Me and the guys both think that this is probably a 10 or 15 year cure. And we can continue on with the scoreboards. We definitely don't need new scoreboards, but it was for your information only unless you want to go a different route. But that price is for the scoreboard only. It is, and it's only for one. And it doesn't include installation. So that gives you an idea of what those 3 scoreboards are worth in today's market. To fix the scoreboards we got right now, you're looking at that $20,910 for repair.
That's to fix all 3?
That's to fix all 3.
I know my answer.
Yeah.
Did I say quantity?
Well, yeah, and I think there's 46 of them. And I
I
think,
mean, the
No,
scoreboard.
scoreboard.
uh,
I mean, the scoreboard quote,
no, that's just one scoreboard. Where you-
Says 3.
says 3. On the quote, on the scoreboard quote itself.
Sure does.
Right,
Total price.
5 years, parts only, includes customer care level 3, 422,
5-year
use
warranty.
baseball and softball.
Warranty.
3 control kits, 3.
$28,000.
And 1 break, 3 scoreboards, 3 control kits.
About 9,000 a piece. A little over.
Hey, Siri,
Spend 30 on call.
There it is.
What are you looking at, down this column?
20 fixing
Yeah, right here, quantity.
Oh, quantity, yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the 5-year warranty too on the new ones. Do we get any warranty with the parts?
it. 1 year.
Just
For the parts, 1 year on parts.
on just if we got the parts?
I guess what it said, 1 year on parts. Also. Yeah, it says 1 year warranty on parts.
Yeah, see, that's, to me, that's a much better deal.
Yeah,
For an extra 10, you get 4-year warranty.
yeah,
hey, Jerry, give me a call, maybe this week.
yeah, if it's 3, but it looks like it.
Hey, they put it in a quote, didn't they? They got honor.
Well, we could always make a motion to
I'll,
accept that quote if the quantity's correct.
I can clear it up tomorrow morning. Item number 1, and it says quantity 3,
Now,
price $28,000.
installations in there?
No.
No,
Installation.
See that might be something to think about too.
Well, let me find that
We'll do
out.
another joint venture with the city, like Line Creek come over here.
Yeah,
I mean, actually, they got some teeth under this too.
Oh, I know. Sax, let's table it, do it, I mean,
Let me make some
Yeah.
calls tomorrow.
let's make, because really, guys,
Stuff.
Did you find out installation cost and all that to the new?
we'll have, if we go with the new ones, Sax, we'll have to get them to put them in or
Can we make a motion to authorize Paul to spend up to $31,000 on the scoreboard project?
I think there's a motion on the floor.
but that was for just the replacement
Well, that or
or
The replacement's 21, new ones are 31 if this is
right.
reading like it's supposed to.
Is that all right, Jared?
It's under 50,000, so yeah.
But you're still not including installation.
Oh, yeah,
No.
you're right.
Just let's
Just, let's
just let me do a little work, because to be honest with you, me and Jimmy's already talked, we're all right with putting numbers up.
Yeah, I
Now,
told
somebody-
him, we're on camera.
We got
so
time.
I told him we can just put numbers up.
Yeah, we got
We don't
time,
need
I
a
can get
scoreboard.
back with you, we'll take this up to the
have
next meeting.
somebody run out there. and
Yeah, I
put
mean,
the
I
number.
just, when I saw it, and I was joking a little bit with Paul, we don't have to have a scoreboard. We're already not charged, I mean,
I'm not spending $20,000 on my car either when I go buy new.
well, I know, but I just, that's why I'm
No, I
willing
need
to,
to
no, that's
find
why I'm
that
willing to
out.
just
Get
to
a 5-year
table it.
warranty.
I'm just willing to table it till next month, Amy, that's all.
Yeah,
No,
I
I'm
think
good.
there's a lot more information to be obtained.
Zach, you good with that?
I'm good with it.
How about to have a motion to table the scoreboard repair parts or new scoreboards?
So we'll make it.
Okay, first by Amy, second by Mike, no, all in favor?
All right.
Okay, thank you, guys. I think it's better we just do it the right way.
Summer
Summer
help,
help, Dad.
summer help update, I've got 2 of them in there now, the third one's gonna start, June, I believe June 1st. He'll start on Monday, so he's a high school student. Don't really have anything else, everything else is going real good with them, they're 2 good kids so far. We'll see how the third one is. The replacement of the water main out the concession building got completed, and, feel pretty good about it. It's all done. So that was taken care of, we took care of that, had to put in a whole main line. Any questions on that? If not, I'm gonna let Heather go on here.
A couple of, posts for you to look at, if you have any questions or concerns, you know. Although I hope you put those in out there, next week.
Okay, anybody got any questions on the social media post ideas? I like them. Let's move on the attorney report. I want to just start off, I want to thank Jared and Tom Snyder, who's on the phone, and Randy and Greg for leading this lobbyist update. They did a great job, and I appreciate all the time and effort. So I think everyone has the government relations and consulting agreement that was sent out. And I'll turn it over to Greg into Jared.
Yeah, I'll go real quick.
Yeah.
You've all seen the terms. I think that they are, of course, agreeing to the terms listed in that agreement. And so basically today, what we're asking the board to do is to actually just vote to approve the agreement as listed and to hire Vance Meacham to be our lobbyist.
It looks like when I read through there, we got everything that we asked for.
Got everything we asked for.
And we can cancel it anytime. So
That was a key thing.
that was, yeah.
Agreed. And I have really nothing to add.
But the committee felt good about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was good.
So, I mean, if there's no other discussion, I'll call for a motion to approve this agreement.
I'll call for that one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right, next motion, of course, a motion that we give Jim Kittle authority to sign this agreement on behalf of the LCD.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom, for your work on that. Okay, the next thing I wanted just to clarify, I got in this, we needed resolution, help me, Jared, this.
Yeah, actually, so
I
Jim, what
wanted
it is, it's resolution 2026-08. We passed this after we found out that the county wasn't gonna give us all our money. We didn't prepare a written ordinance before we did it, so we prepared it after the fact. And basically, since we had to get it to our underwriters.
We had to get it to the grant people, we didn't have time, so we just did the.
Basically, non-holographic signatures, everyone agreed to put their name on there. Then we were supposed to come back in April and actually sign it, I forgot about it, and so basically we're here to.
Thanks, Jared.
To cover it up, so I'll put that motion right up here for everybody to sign.
I just want to get signatures, we've already sent it to our grant people, but I want everyone to sign it, so we've got the real signatures on it. Okay, thanks, Jared, that helped me on that. Management report, Heather, you were gonna make, I looked it over, but did you have any comments?
Yeah, just on, we're a third of the way through the year, so we can kind of look down as far as remaining percentages, anything that's less than 2/3 would probably be something that you might have a question on. So uniforms, those are kind of done seasonally, so I think we're okay there. We moved some money around in that next section, supply section, for pest control. We added some there and took that out of the seed and fertilizer. I talked to Rick about what he expected they were gonna be doing and, how much more for pest control and fertilizing. And so I was able to move money around because we do have some more coming out in the month we're in now. Professional services, we may need at some point to move some money into that category from one of the others. Insurance, we pay it annually, so we should be fine with that. The accreditation promotions are kind of low, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one. And the same with dues memberships, that's most of our 811 tickets. We've only got 31% left in that budget category, so if we look, we need to do some things around. And of course, the other things that might be of interest are things that have a lot more than 60%. So we've got all of those things at the bottom there, small commercial equipment and improvements. We just haven't got anything big to capitalize, so that's why those are still 100% left.
Okay, thanks Heather for keeping an eye on that. I signed a reconciliation report, gave that to Heather, looked that over. Employee handbooks for about the 5th month. I didn't get with Dave and Randy, but what I want to do while you're here, Dave, can you be here too? You got something Tuesday? Could you have time to sit down Tuesday and let's get that? I'm gonna be out of town on Wednesday the rest of the week, but if you can't, we can do it the following week. But we just gotta get something set up. I talked to Randy and we gotta get those handbooks updated so the board can take a look at them.
Yeah.
Tuesday, good or bad?
It's fine.
How about 9 o'clock? 10 o'clock?
No.
Okay,
Tuesday at 9?
9 o'clock here, and I'll talk to Randy and make sure he can be here. Okay, anybody got anything else? If not, thank you. That was a little bit of a lengthy meeting, but I adjourned the meeting. Hey, Tom, thank you. Take care. All right, bye.
Don't forget to sign.
Yeah, there's some. Please,
You got
yeah, there's a question off. Would you please?